Welcome back, my friends. It's good to see you. I hope you've had an excellent week. I hope you enjoyed May the 4th. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I certainly enjoyed it. Ate a bunch of pizza, smoked a bunch of weed, watched the new Bad Batch episode. That was awesome. And stayed up just a little bit later than I should have for work the next day, which is today that I'm filming. So I'm a little bit tired, but it is also Cinco de Mayo, or some people like to say Revenge of the 5th. I personally prefer Revenge of the 6th, but I don't have any beer on hand, so here's to Cinco de Mayo, and I'll celebrate Revenge of the 6th tomorrow. Welcome back to the show. This is the good, the bad, and the Bible. My name is Rogan, and you are watching The Mysterious Stoner in a Bowler. So, last episode we talked about the tabernacle and what a waste that was. And God is going to do some more wasting in today's episode. Gonna go over 3 things that I came across. Which we're gonna look in a lot of Christians don't read these parts of the Old Testament a lot. My family likes to read the Bible every single day. Well, my dad did. And he made us all do it every single morning. And we read through the entire Bible. Every portion. And there are adult portions in there, mind you. We didn't know what we were reading as children, so as an ex-Christian now, it's very entertaining to go back and see the shit we just took right in. And what so many people have no idea is in the Bible. But that's why this show exists. We look at the good and the bad in the Bible, because there's a lot of fucked up shit in the Bible. And I got some more fucked up shit for you today. That is good shit. So today, we are in Exodus chapter 29. And God is giving commandments for this ceremony, for consecrating the priests. Aaron and his boys, specially chosen by God for who knows whatever reason. Because they were sinners just like everyone else. There was nothing special about them, except that they happened to be related to Moses. So that may have had something to do with it, realistically speaking. But we're not going to talk about that right now. The way they had to consecrate the priests and their outfits and everything and all that jazz, the way they had to do it was that they had to kill sheep and oxen, and well, they call them bullocks, so it's probably like bulls. And they kill quite a fair number of them. And not only that, they take the blood from these animals and they sprinkle it on one of the altars. They dump a whole bunch of it out at one point and then just move on to the next animal and then use the blood from that one to sprinkle it around about the altar and shit. And then it goes on, they kill the next animal, and then they take the blood from that one, and they sprinkle it on the priests directly. And they put some of it on, it was Aaron's ear, I believe. Yeah, upon his right ear and upon the, oh yeah, the right ear of all the sons. And on the big toe of the right foot. Oh yeah, and on the thumb of the right hand. Putting blood on them to consecrate them. This was part of the ceremony. Why is this necessary? Okay, so it's symbolic. Okay, is it necessary though? Like, can we do something else? Like, does it have to be real blood? Does it? Like, I hope these animals are gonna get eaten afterwards. Otherwise, they're just dying for nothing. Some of them are getting straight up burnt because they're sacrifices to God. Like, God gets something out of animals getting completely wasted on an altar to him. Apparently. Of course, there's a lot of times it has to be special. Like, there's special requirements for the animals to be sacrificed. But sometimes there are no special requirements. It's like, oh, we're just gonna go out and sacrifice an ox to God, regardless of whether it's, well, usually the idea is to sacrifice a good one, not a shitty one. Otherwise, it's not that much of a sacrifice. But it's just kind of gross and bloody. It's just, it seems like another reminder to me that God is really into blood. Like, is it Moses? Really, in reality, is it Moses that has a blood fetish? He loves seeing blood sprinkled around it, or is it Yahweh himself? If he's real, does he have a blood fetish? Does he like seeing animals get killed? Is that what deities of that level get off to? There's probably some people with a fucked up fetish. I imagine there are people that are that demented, where they might get off to a lot of blood. I'm pretty sure it's happened. It's a thing that exists, not on a large scale, but it is something that exists for people to be sexually turned on by blood and blood play. It is an actual kink, in fact. Now that I recall. And there's just a ridiculous amount of blood here going around. To where that could have easily been part of why they were doing it. Then we move over to chapter 30, where we've gotten over the blood shit for now, anyways. Maybe we'll get back to something along those lines before the end. But now we're going to talk about the ransom of souls. And this kind of blew my mind because, well, something about my parents and a lot of Christians will do this automatically is they will sometimes teach their children. 'Cause I was homeschooled, um, so my parents taught me about how bad the Catholic Church was and how, well, I learned a number of things about them because Martin Luther, they weren't Lutheran, but they considered Martin Luther someone to look up to, spiritually speaking. Yeah, he was a weird guy in in some in multiple ways. Um getting a little sidetracked here, but the thing about the Catholics, something they used to do. I don't think they still do this, but they used to have this deal where you pay money to be forgiven of sins in advance before you commit the sin. I can't quite remember what the name of that was called, but that was one of the things they did. That was one of their ways of getting money. Oh, and they also did this one thing to where they had a donation bowl of some kind, and if you tossed a coin in and the coin made a jingling sound off the side of the inside of the bowl, then a soul, a love, the soul of a loved one of the person who threw the coin in would leave purgatory and go to heaven, or something like that. And when you look at it that way, it's like, why would wait? Why would someone in their straightforward? Well, I mean, they didn't have a lot of information back then. But why would someone fall for that? It just seems so dumb. And to a lot of Christians, that seems dumb. I was taught to see that as being dumb. My parents told me that was ridiculous. That those ideas were absolutely preposterous and were completely made up by the Catholic Church to get money from their followers, which I can totally easily believe is a real thing. Because churches will tell you some crazy shit to get you to give them your money. And we have an example of that right here in the Bible. Something I wish I had thought of when I was much younger. But this is what it says. The ransom of souls. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, when thou takest the sum of the children of Israel after their number, basically, when you are going to number the children of Israel, you're going to take a census. That's the word. You're going to take a census of all the people. But when you do this, then shall they give every man a ransom for his soul unto the Lord when thou numberest them. That there be no plague among them when thou numberest them. This shall they give every one that passeth among them that are numbered, half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary. And half shekel shall be the offering of the Lord. You understand what that means? It means whenever they did a census, they had to, everyone, there was a specific age category that had to pay money. 20 years old and above. So everyone 20 years old and above had to pay to God, towards, it says it was going to go towards the tabernacle, actually. Yep, in verse 16, just a couple verses later. It said all the rich and all the poor, they should not give less or more. Then it said again, to make atonement for your souls. And thou shalt take the atonement money of the children of Israel, and shalt appoint it for the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, that it may be a memorial unto the children of Israel before the Lord, to make an atonement for your souls. So when a census happens, everyone has to pay this amount of money to make atonement for their souls, like pay for their sins, because they already do that with sacrifices. Later on, there's going to be rules given and such about what kind of sheep to bring, what kind of goats to bring. There's pigeons if the previous two animals are not available to the people that are bringing to pay for their sins. You have to sacrifice animals to pay for sins. But here they have to make atonement for their souls. Everyone has to pay money, or else God's going to send a plague on them. So is it to make atonement for the souls, or is it like, is anything being taken care of for sins here? Is this like a temporary thing? Is this like a yearly thing? Like, but the money's going to be an offering to the Lord. So what? This is a multi-purpose deal with the money here. We're gonna make atonement for our sins. It's gonna be an offering to the Lord, but we don't really have a choice about it, because if we don't do it, God's gonna send a plague on us for not giving money to the tabernacle, or for making atonement for our sins. So, like, does this make our sacrifices with our animals no good if we don't pay? Like, if we can't afford, like, what happens? Like, it might not be a whole lot of money. I was led to believe that a shekel was worth a lot. But it's only a half shekel, so it might be a more reasonable amount. But still, why does God need this money? Why can't God take care of his things? The tabernacle's for him. The priests are doing their job for him. Why do you have to threaten the children of Israel to give money when you could just take care of them yourself? You could set angels down. You could create angels specifically for that job. Like, supposedly God feeds one of his prophets with ravens, bringing him pieces of bread during a famine. They're like bringing him whole loaves of bread in their beaks to him so he can survive during this famine or whatever. Like, why can't he do that for the priests? That would actually be kind of cool. That would be like really neat to see when you're like going to sacrifice your animal for your sins. You see this bird flying overhead with a full loaf of bread. Hopefully you didn't get it from any of the people there. Hopefully it's straight from God or whatever. Ooh. What if that's where those birds got that food from for the prophet? I don't know, but why couldn't God do that? It'd be pretty miraculous. It'd be pretty cool. No, he'd rather just make everyone give their money to these guys. Straight up money. Straight up money. I don't really care if it's not a whole lot. I don't care that he saved them all from Egypt. I mean, that's kind of why he's doing this. He talks about it right at the end of chapter 29. He's going on about himself. He says, I will dwell among the children of Israel and will be their God, and they shall know that I am the Lord their God, that brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, that I may dwell among them. I am the Lord their God. All about himself there. He likes going on about himself sometimes. Seems like a very selfish thing. But why does he need money? Because he's going to stay there now? Is he going to live off of the food they bring, the money they bring? Why do they need money? Gangsters need money. In fact, gangsters, mob bosses or whatever, and it happened to my family while on the mission field. People came to our apartment and said, pay us this much money, so much a month, and we'll make sure no one hurts you. God is saying here, everyone this age and up has to pay me so much money so that I don't hurt them by sending a plague among them. God seems way more like a mob boss, or like a safety racketeering, whatever the fuck that's called. Pay me money so I don't hurt you. That's what God is saying. Pay me money so I don't hurt you. Pay my priests. Pay my guy Moses. Don't worry, you don't have to pay a whole lot. But if you don't do it, I'm going to send a fucking plague among the people. Pay up. Or else. Wow, what a loving, merciful God. Yeah, let's serve him. Let's serve the guy that threatens us with death if we don't give him our money. Let's not be free and make our own decisions and but it gets a little bit better. And I don't mean that in a good way for Yahweh. At the very end of chapter 30, we come to about the last 4 verses, and God is talking to Moses about this incense, this perfume that he wants Moses to make. And he gives him the ingredients, and they're here in the Bible. I'm not going to read them because it's boring stuff you don't want to hear about, and I don't want to have to read and repeat anyways. But he gives him the ingredients and everything, tells him to make it, right? And then he says, and as for the perfume which thou shalt make, ye shall not make to yourselves according to the composition thereof. It shall be unto thee holy for the Lord. Meaning, no one else can make this perfume for personal use. If you make this particular mixture of these plants and you use it for yourself, there's going to be consequences. Oh yeah. You make this special potion of perfume, doesn't matter if you Does it matter, like, if you're like is it okay if someone other than an Israelite makes it? Like, if I don't believe in it, is it safe for me to make for myself? It implies here that it's not safe for anyone to make. Well, maybe it is safe for everyone else, because it says, "Whosoever shall make like unto that, to smell thereof, shall even be cut off from his people." So maybe it's fine for Gentiles to make, because they don't know. We're stupid Gentiles. We don't know anything. But if an Israelite makes it for personal use, kick him the fuck out. He is no longer an Israelite. What was the name of the seat that was supposed to go on top of the Ark of the Covenant? The grace seat? The faith? No, that doesn't seem right. The hope? No. Oh, yeah. The mercy seat. Where God sits and communicates with Moses. The mercy seat. Right. What's merciful about that? What? And why? Why is it only for God? God made these plants, supposedly. God made it for everyone to enjoy. But if you make it in this special little mixture, and you're an Israelite and you do it for personal use, oh, you're not an Israelite anymore. You're you have you have no family, you have no home, you have no country. Fuck you. That perfume is mine. It's basically what he's saying. And don't forget, if you don't pay your tax money to God, when we do a census, bad things might happen. So, pay up your fucking money to God, or else. Oh, all the hymns I can think of about how great and good and merciful God is, it's all a fucking joke. This God isn't merciful. This God isn't kind. This God doesn't even want the responsibility of taking care of the people who represent him to everyone else. It seems like that would be a really great sign that this religion is real, that this supposed creator of everything is real, that he is the one, that he's the right one, because he takes care of his people. But he's just picking the guy related to his prophet and all his sons, not making them earn it. He's not testing them or anything. He's just giving it to them. Here you go. Here's the responsibility. Here's the perks. Oh yeah, Moses, make everyone pay the priests just a little bit of money, but tell them that if they don't pay the priests money, that gotta send a plague among them. Sickness, disease, death. They better pay up. And you know what? That would be the easiest thing for someone to mimic back then. All Moses would have to do would poison the water that all the Israelites drink, and they would all think that God was sending a plague among them.
all that had happened was for someone to catch Moses poisoning them or something. But by then Moses had enough people working with him, keeping all the tricks going and realistic enough. All the Israelites were hooked by then, and he was in charge of writing the Torah the way he wanted to say that it went, instead of how it probably happened. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, and hopefully next week I will see you from behind a desk in a much more sophisticated environment. Like, subscribe, share my content, if you will. I would appreciate it. It'd help me a lot to help me grow my channel. Stay safe, and until next time, my friends, farewell.